Hello, it's another Move TV with myself, Graham Coath, in the middle of the afternoon on what seems to be, it's like, I don't know about you, Caroline, but it almost feels like I can't tell what day of the week it is this week because the whole week's kind of blended into one after Christmas, etc.
Yeah,
so,
especially when you lose the Monday as well.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of odd. So there we are. We are in fact here on a Thursday, heading into the Friday, and I'm here today with Caroline, who's an interior designer for all your sins. How did you first get into that?
Well, I suppose if you want to go right back to the beginning, it was something that my granddad suggested. Actually, I showed him a drawing that I did at school, and he was very poorly at the time, and he actually thought I'd make a really good interior designer. And it was only a couple of years later when I was picking, I wasn't sure what to do with the degree, so I decided to do an art and design course. And it was during there that it was all these different options of design and art were just sort of labelled out to me that I realised actually interior design. I remember that being something suggested to me, and it just triggered something. It was when I was a child. I used to draw my own bedrooms and on pieces of paper and ask my dad to build me these amazing fancy beds that are in the high up in the room and stuff, and cabin bed style, and I'd be wanting to paint murals all over it and all sorts. It was just all the various different things just came into play, and I realised actually that's something that I should at least look into, and yeah, I loved it. The course was great, and then just one job after another, and I've ended up being on my own and doing my own thing. So really good.
You told me the story when we met to discuss doing this show, and it's incredibly moving because, as you say, your grandfather wasn't well at the time.
Yeah.
But it's so important, isn't it? That little whisper in someone's ear at any point in their life, which just puts the seed of an idea in there. And had your grandfather not ever said that, you wouldn't have gone looking for interior design at all, presumably.
No, it wasn't really something that it was never obviously a subject that was brought up at school. It was obviously all maths, English, sciences, and all the different things like that. And even in design itself, in design and technology, there was product design, things like that. But interior design wasn't really something that the teachers really even spoke about. Graphic design, that was something that was mentioned, but interior design it was something that never even came about as a subject of conversation at all with any of my teachers. If they thought my teacher thought I was good at art and things, and he was pushing me down the fine art route, but design itself, no, it wasn't something that was even considered as an option at school at all.
Now, growing up in the period that I grew up in, we saw the start of interior design programs on the TV. Because prior to that, it was
changing rooms.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, prior to that, it was all just real basic kind of DIY type.
Yeah, in and out in 24 hours.
Yeah, this is how you do wallpaper.
Yeah,
this is how you make a shelf, but nothing to do with interior design. And then suddenly, the likes of Lawrence and his wonderful
flamboyant ideas.
Hair and
outfits
and whatever, and his flamboyant ideas as well, spewed onto the screen. And I suppose suddenly we became a nation obsessed with interior design for a minute. But is there an element with which part of the problem is that everybody, to some extent, feels that they are an interior designer?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's one of those subjects where people they always have their own opinion on it. So it becomes very hard to have a conversation with someone who, when they already think they know the answers to what it is that they want to talk about. So it's a straight. Whenever I say what I do for a living, it's amazing the amount of people who go, "Oh, I would have liked to have done that.
Right.
It just seems to be one of those things that everyone thinks it's a really glamorous, exciting job. And yeah, I mean, obviously it has its moments, but it's hilarious how excited people get. I go around a room of networking and I see conversations and I'm an accountant, and there's all very sort of simple faces. And when I say interior design, they light up. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about it. It must resonate something in everyone's minds, and they think, oh, interior design. Oh, I would like to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know why though. It's amazing.
But also, I grew up with, the places where you bought furniture. It was the start of the flat pack revolution.
Mm-hmm.
There was MFI, there was G Plan, there was all of that sort of. I know, right? All of those kind of places, and then suddenly, from across the waters, another company appeared, and who shall remain nameless. But suddenly, we were kind of sold the idea of design and affordable design in the home, etc. But I've always looked at that and thought, yeah, but if you're just buying it off the shelf from wherever it is to put it in your home, it's not design. It's not. No one's actually put any thought into the design of that. And actually, you're all buying the same. So actually,
exactly.
Yeah, you're not getting anything unique and individual.
No.
Is there kind of a problem there?
It's certainly taking away people's personalities, isn't it? They're seeing they walk through a particular showroom in one of those large stores, and they've got a certain set, all these different various sets, and there might be a country look and there's a modern look, and they're trying to sort of give you that. Those ideas in your head, aren't they, of what that, and you can decide then of what you think. Oh, I feel comfortable in this space, but then obviously you can then just go straight to the department and you're buying that same thing. And then the next person walks in and they go, oh, this feels like my sort of feel and stuff. And then they go and buy exactly the same thing. So there's no opportunity for people to come up with their own ideas and things. They're just sort of they don't even realize it, but they're being molded into this idea. Yeah.
We walk into other people's homes and we go, it's exactly the same as mine.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, I know. Oh, I've seen that in that magazine, or I've seen that on that advert, and But, I mean, some people like that. They like the fact that.
But now, is there an element as well? Because I've been involved in commercial design in my past, and one of the things that I always focused on was the sort of function. Because that's important. Is this space actually functioning properly for the people that are actually going to inhabit it and the things that they're going to do? And I suppose beyond the aesthetics of any kind of design, how important is it that you sort of, with the client, get into what's this space actually going to be used for? And, is it going to be an effective space for that? Or is it going to be adaptable as a space because you need to use it for lots of different things? How important is that aspect of it?
Oh, very much, very much. I mean, it's always ideal. It's ideal if you can actually be living in your house for a length of time before you start deciding what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with buying something that's a bit of a fixer-upper, living in there for a few months, and then seeing how the light works in the house, and which is the warmest, the coldest rooms, and getting a feeling of how do you want to live in that space. Like when you walk through the door, which is the room that maybe you're drawn to the most first. Maybe that should be the main room of your house, and so it's good to sort of get used to the spaces and things. So, and definitely think about, what is your daily routine when you get up in the morning? Where do you want to sit to have your breakfast? Are you a couch person? So, okay, so you need to have the functional spaces around you for laying things down, or what it might, if that's the case, where do you put your bowl, etc. when you've had your dinner and you're watching the TV, but or do you want to be in a formal space, and therefore, you need it to be practical to how you're living. So I think there's a lot of conversations to be had with a customer when you first get going, and you need to get to know them. You need to, like, what is their lifestyle like? Do they like having lots of people around? Or do they like their own spaces? Do they like comfortable spaces? Do they want bright and airy spaces? Do they like moody? There's so many questions to ask them before you can even begin to give them ideas. And that's the best way of being able to produce the design that they're going to want them out, for their life. So
yeah, it's interesting you were saying that about, you should perhaps try and live in the space first, because again, I see so many of these programs on TV where people buy a shell and they do it all up first before they move in.
Yeah.
And then, 6 months down the line, the TV crew goes to visit them again, and they've started completely changing it.
Yeah.
And you think, why? What are you playing at? Why didn't you just inhabit the space first and find out what the nuances are of that space with you and your family before?
Definitely. How many times have you walked into one of your rooms in the house at home and gone, why did we put the TV there? It makes no sense. The light's streaming in here and it's blinding our faces when we're trying to watch. There's just something as simple as that. Or why did we choose this room? Like, this is not the best room in the house. We should have had our bedroom over there, and whatever it might be. And it's amazing how quick people are to sort of, right, we've got to get in, we've got to get it sorted, and this house has to be perfect straight away the minute we move in. And why can't it grow and evolve with the life that you sort of build in that house too? And as family grows as well, you might even sort of look at it that sense. But it's just, I think it's important that that the space feels like you can explain why to yourself. You explain why you have chosen the house in the way that you've done it, and I think the only way to realize that is actually to live in it.
Yeah,
you can't. So,
even when I was a workplace assessor and I was just going out to see people in their offices, just a simple thing like how someone inhabits a desk, I find that amazing, because we've got a really bad habit of just adopting what's already there and living with it, but then moaning about it, as opposed to saying, can anything be done about this? So, I mean, in terms of your clients, I assume that one of the things that they get from you is that second pair of eyes, that ability to have a, look at this kind of objectively, as opposed to emotionally, and the fact that, we've spent money on this, we've moved in here, it should already be right, or it should be. I guess within a family as well, there may be different opinions as to what a space. She's laughing, so there might be different opinions as to what a space should do. But in a way, you can bring some sort of arbitration to that and say, right, well, let's make it work the best for all of you.
Definitely. Yeah, you can sort of, when you've been in a space for too long, there's almost a fog. There's a fog there, and there's this sort of barrier straight away of, oh, we can't possibly do this way around. It won't work, or it's going to cost loads of money, whatever. And sometimes it just needs someone just to clear that fog, just look at it in a completely different way and think, oh yeah, wow, that was so obvious. Why didn't I think of that? But it just, sometimes you just need that, like you say, that fresh pair of eyes to the situation, and suddenly you're like, oh yeah, and then the ideas will start flowing, and you're like, oh well, if we do that, then we can expand it to there, or we can break that wall down, and we can whatever this, and then suddenly just by having that clarity, you're able to be creative again, and you start to fall in love back, in the house again that you've perhaps had issues with recently, that it stopped you from enjoying being there still. So
Is there a dream client out there for you? I mean, in terms of the kind of person that would come to you to ask you to do something, is there something where you go, oh, absolutely, this is exactly, my cup of tea? I mean, presumably there's clients where you can do it, etc., but it may be just much more functional. But there may be ones where you can let go creativity wise a little bit more. And is that more exciting for you?
When customers are more open-minded, for sure. Sometimes even ones that don't know what they want is actually quite good, because you can sort of steer them into something that you think will work well, and hopefully they agree. But I love property, period properties. I like the traditional stuff. Not like I like bringing back what was once there, that's maybe now been hidden or removed over time through the generations of modernization. So I love a property house for sure. But yeah, anyone who's just, I mean, obviously money definitely helps, because if you've got a bigger budget, you can just have so much more fun with it. So yeah, they're like ideal clients, definitely.
Oh, you should have seen this place when we bought this. We came in, every single room was a different bright color.
Oh,
And
gosh.
I guess it was just to kind of hide all of the evils, etc. But I'll just give you a little sort of mental picture of the lounge, which is kind of the first room that you came to, was kind of a purple color with a brown sofa put into a bay window, or a sofa bed in the bay window, and then all around the walls was nailed on planks of wood, which looked like pallet wood.
Yeah.
And then tearing them back, we found a fireplace. It's an old Victorian house, and there was a real fireplace there, and there was real character there, but it had all been sort of like hidden away.
Yeah.
Do you get properties like that, and you just
Yeah.
oh,
yeah, no, and I think it's something that I dislike about a lot of modern house buildings now. It's like that we've become this generation of just your standard magnolia, 2 up, 2 down sort of thing. There's no inspiration to it. There's they just assume that we want it in a certain way. And I do wish I miss all the beautiful ornate staircases and the lovely archway entrances and paneling and things. But I obviously it'll be a budget thing, but I just don't know why so many modern houses now are being built and they're just plasterboarded walls, simple white sockets, and you just where's that little extra? Yeah, where's the bit of thought of design that's been put into it, to make this house different? But I mean, obviously they're selling, but I just think it's a shame that we haven't. What is the 21st century house? Your Georgian houses, your Victorian houses. You see them and instantly that that they're from that period. I don't know. Looking at a modern house today, in 50 years' time, I'm just going to look back and go, yeah. It's not going to wow me, is it? It's not. I don't think it's going to wow me. But there'll always be those people that want that Victorian, that Georgian, that. I just, I think it's a real shame that we've lost. We've just lost something. Yeah.
Also, it's one of the challenges currently. I mean, we've come through one of the strangest periods in history where people have migrated out of office spaces. We've had the pandemic, and we've had periods of lockdown. And there's been a migration towards working from home, and that's continuing. The use of the home space has changed somewhat. Is one of the biggest challenges still at the moment, going into 2023, creating a space or spaces in the home that enable people to work and people to live together in a space, but actually making the definitions between those.
I think that'll always be a tricky one, to be honest, and I don't even think it's just for that one person. For the person who's working from home, they understand that potentially that room is theirs for work, but whether the rest of the family realize that, because suddenly the kids come in and there's a toy on the floor and that stays there, and the next morning you walk in and trip over it, and it's whether the rest of the family appreciate then that is your office and that they can't come in there between 9 and whatever time it is that you want to work. It's giving it that boundary and saying no, only I'm allowed in here. I don't know how you create that, but in terms of the design of that, the more functional you can make that room, the better. If it is that it has to be part of your guest bedroom, so to speak, then you do need to look at clever storage solutions so that it can be hidden away somehow. I've seen amazing renovations of furniture now, where it's a wardrobe and they open the door and they pull out the desk and there's the laptop and but they can close it away and suddenly it's a bedroom again. And all those clever ideas. There's a table that comes from the wall down, for example, and you can work and then it's out the way and you can carry on doing using the space for whatever it was before. I think we all need to get a lot more clever with those sort of functional design techniques, and certainly look at how you get better lighting in those spaces, because not all the, lighting in the office might be very different to the lighting that you'd have at home. So, you need to think about that so you can make that feel better. So you're not, because sometimes I find as well as my lighting at home, because I work from home a lot more, it is a lot darker. So I do find myself needing, extra spotlight above me just so I can see what I'm doing. So there's a lot more to it, I think, than just sort of saying, right, well, I'm going to work in that room now. And you do need it to be comfortable and somewhere where you feel motivated in and inspired by. So, maybe you need some plants there and things that are going to sort of get you in the right frame of mind and mood for your day ahead, really. So allow you to focus.
Yeah, I think we just have to become much more creative with spaces, full stop. And, and maybe even think about things like, if the option's there and we've got some garden space or whatever, can we use some of the garden space creatively so that actually, maybe someone can have a space where they can go and work out there as well when the weather's better. So, you're not stuck in the same spot all of the time. And or maybe make the transition between a sort of a conservatory area and the house, work better, so that actually that's more functional in terms of what could be done there. I'm sure with the help of someone clever like yourself, people can achieve these things. So what's 2023 hopefully going to hold for you then, work-wise?
Oh gosh, I would really love to start. I've worked in hospitality interior design now for about 15 years. So it'd be lovely to try to break out of that a little bit more, get into hotels. I've always fancied working in hotels, so that's kind of a goal this year to get a project in the hotel world. And I actually, because I actually paint murals too, I've actually had this dream of being able to do bespoke children's bedrooms and playrooms, because, like, as I said at the beginning, I used to design my own bedrooms as a child, and I designed my children's bedrooms. And my daughter, for example, has a cabin bed, which was once a palace. I painted it to look like a princess palace when she was young. It now looks like a spaceship, and I'm sure before she moves on to university, it'll become something else. So I'd love the idea of sort of going into this sort of bespoke children's spaces, whether that's just at the home or also it could also be commercial too, and with nurseries and things. But I'd love to sort of blend those two of the interior design and then the fun of the murals and the creativity that I bring to that. So
yeah, and actually taking that back to the conversation we just had about workspaces as well, I guess if that's one of the things, if you can create spaces where children can feel more comfortable playing and more creative in their play, then they'll probably feel happier staying there for longer. And actually, it kind of then by default creates better spaces in the rest of the house for the adults.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Anything that gets kids off the tablets and TVs and things, and you can create that bedroom space that when they walk in, obviously it definitely needs to be something that they can relax in at the same time for bedtime. But if you can also create something that gets their imagination going, and where they can bring their friends around, and suddenly they've walked into this jungle, they've walked into a jungle, and suddenly everything is like they're climbing up tree houses, but really it's the bed, and but their imaginations can go to a level that we just sadly have outgrown and forgotten about. And I just love that idea of and at the end of the day, and it's all dark and it comes quiet, and they can rest and relax in it, and there's fluorescent stars on the ceiling, whatever it might be. But I just love the idea of creating these areas where children can just expand their minds, and you just don't know you don't know what interaction play that they're going to do then will encourage them to go down a certain career path and lifestyle and it'll all be because you created this fantastic space for them that just enhance their imagination. So
I was inspired listening to you. I'm now thinking about what we should do for our children. So thank you for offering that up. Now listen, you're a member of Move. What Move activities do you get involved in?
So I'm on the Tuesday 10 a.m. group, the online one. I've not had a chance yet to do a networking at the weekend, purely based on the fact that I live an hour away, and the thought of getting up at 5 a.m. is just maybe one stretch too far on a weekend. But yeah, I've done a few socials and things as well. So, but yeah, the people I've met have then led to so many other things in terms of one-to-ones, conversations, and then I've been introduced to further people from that. So, yeah. It's been a great.
What do you, in particular about the Move Online groups do you enjoy? To
be honest, it's I'm a very emotional person, so it's been really helpful for me to sort of maybe when something's been going a bit when something's been a bit difficult in my own work, and I've been able to bring it to the group and go, right, this has happened. How would you deal with it? How would you cope or react to the situation? And they'll help me sort of like just calm down a little bit, break it down and go, right, okay, it's not a big deal, and you can go about it like this or like this. And it's like business therapy, and it just helps me focus and because sometimes I can take things far too personally if a customer is maybe being a little bit pushy or whatever about something. I will let it get to me, because I ultimately want to just deliver a great service, and I put everything I can into it. So when someone's being difficult back, it does affect my confidence and makes me think, well, I'm trying so hard for you. What? So I think it helps that these groups help me just sort of go, right, business head now, don't let it be personal. And it's been really productive in that sense for me.
I know. I think it's so important. I mean, you can bring this stuff home and you can try and talk about it with your partner or your other half, whatever. But it's difficult. They've got their business that they go out and do during the day, maybe, and they've got their own issues and things to worry about. It's too much, and you don't want to burden.
Yeah.
The other, you
don't want to keep going on and on about the same things as well.
No, but it's fine within the business context. I think if you can find people who are more likely to have the answers because they're small business owners as well, and they're going through the same kind of thing, that can give you those, even if it's just reassurance that this happens. It's not just you.
We've had these problems before. Exactly. It's honesty, isn't it, as well? It's having someone to be honest with you and say, look, you're being a bit, maybe you're being a little bit too emotional about that situation. They probably had a bad day, whatever it might be, but they just help you. They just sort of support each other and help you get through whatever issue it is. And sometimes it's nice as well, because I do work for myself and on my own. I don't have anyone else. So if I do get a new project, I want to be able to go, yay! And there's someone's just great to just tell someone about it, because your family are like, oh, that's great, but they don't fully get what it's like, the feelings.
That's so true. I hadn't even sort of really thought about that, but it's true, isn't it? Because you do, if you say to your wife or husband or whoever, won a contract today, it's like, oh, that's nice, love.
Yeah, great. That's it's like coming in. That's great.
But you're like,
but it's a big
deal. This is actually, I've been working on this for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's nice to it's nice to kind of have the accountability, but B, also have sort of, if you like, a group of pals that know that you're going through those steps, because you meet with them week by week, and then suddenly you land that contract or whatever, and they know that you've been going through that, and it's like they want to rejoice with you. I think that is a really important thing to have there, and I think I've certainly benefited from that as well. I think it's just nice to have a group of people you can offload with at the other end. So no, thank you very much for that. Now listen, if people want to get hold of you to talk to you about interior design, reimagining their kids' spaces, which after the description you gave, I'm sure lots of people are going to be there going, I can really see that now. I could get Caroline in and she could redesign my kids' space, and I could have my bedroom back.
Yes.
That would
my
be
lounge
great.
That's become the play area. I can have it back.
Get part of my life back. That would be brilliant. How do people get hold of you?
LinkedIn is probably the best place. I am on. Obviously, I can put all this in any comments, but I am on Instagram and Facebook as the business. But definitely LinkedIn's the best way to get hold of me. We can have a good conversation one-to-one, and talk about ideas. But yeah, definitely LinkedIn. And I do have a website as well if you want to have a little look at my portfolio. So.
Oh, lovely. Absolutely brilliant. Well, there we go. Caroline, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today for Move TV. I hope it wasn't. I know you were quite nervous before coming on, but it worked, didn't it? That advice worked, you see, and it was good. So there we go. I don't think she sounded nervous at all. And I think everybody that watches this will agree. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Move TV.
Well, thank you.
Everyone, thank you for watching. It's been me, Graham Cove, Move TV. We will be back soon with somebody else on Move TV. So stay tuned. And don't forget, we're going to be launching all of this on the YouTube site soon. And I will give you details of that probably in the next one that we do. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye.